and welcome to Raw Impressions.
Hello. You're frozen for me, so this is sort of like a flashback to.
Great. We're breaking up.
We're
Lou and Adele are breaking up.
Oh my God.
Oh no, we were only referring to the audio in our podcast. We are not literally breaking up our audio.
Our audio is breaking up. Well, you're not even breaking. I mean, you're just simply frozen for. Am I moving for you?
Yes.
Okay. You're just like you're stuck in this position where you're like playing.
Adele is not moving out. Adele is not moving out.
I know you're feeling stuck, but and we're breaking up, and actually, you're frozen.
I had worked out a whole new intro to the episode.
Great.
Now give me your raw impressions. Now, I know I'm under the gun now. I can't remember what I was going to do.
Oh.
I hate my brain. I hate my brain. Why does it work against me? I'd worked out this whole new song, and then I was going to play it just now, and it all flew out of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Now give me your raw. I can't even do it. I feel like there's something wrong with my brain.
Well, I can tell you that you're frozen.
I went to see he's an experimental folk artist named Sam Amidon last night.
Yes.
And I went. There's an article in the New Yorker about him right now, and I didn't read it. All I did was read the introduction to the article, and it said, experimental folk artist Sam Amidon visits New York, or he's got a new album out, but there was some article about him hanging out in New York.
It was like in Talk of the Town or something, right?
Yeah. There's a little drawing of him. But yeah. I was like, what is experimental folk? Because when I began playing when I adapted a baritone ukulele to my own little special tuning and put my little special strings on it, I considered myself experimental folk. And I, to this day, am the only person that has ever referred to my music as experimental folk. And I have to admit that I was jealous that there was someone in the New Yorker being referred to as experimental folk. So I decided to find out more about Sam Amidon. I've heard about him before. I've heard his name. He is from Brattleboro, from a family of musicians, the Amidons.
That's Vermont.
Brattleboro, Vermont. So I went and I started listening to his music, and I kind of fell in love with it. I fell in love with the music. And I understood why it was experimental. And then I understood why maybe me considering myself experimental folk is a stretch, or it's just not obvious, or it's not my time yet. Anyway, so it turned out that he was actually playing in London last night. Because I just kept following these breadcrumbs about Sam Amidon.
As we do. We do. Mm-hmm.
And I bought tickets for a show, but then it turned out that I bought tickets for the wrong show.
For tonight. You bought tickets for tonight, right? Which you're playing a show tonight, so you can't go.
But I can't go. But I was able to cancel them online, which was actually a great relief.
That is nice.
And then I was like, okay. I contacted Dinosaur Jr.'s booking agent. Actually, he's my booking agent. He's been my booking agent since the 90s. And I said, hey, and I never do this. I was like, hey, I really want to go see Sam Amidon at the Stone Nest last night. And sure enough, they got me on the list. And not only that, they said, make sure they want you to say hi afterwards. And I'm like, they? And it's like Beth and Sam. And it turns out that he's married to Beth Orton, who is also could be very well and accurately described as an experimental folk artist.
I would feel comfortable calling her that. Yeah.
Yes. Her music is really dreamy, and it's been consistently interesting and dreamy for a very long time. So I was like, what? And I'm like, I don't, so I went, I took Jake, our guitar roadie, and boy, it was a good show. Nice. And he played with a drummer and a stand-up bass player. So there was a jazz element, but I wouldn't say it was jazz. I would say it was the drums and the bass were there to create the sort of impressionistic backdrop to these traditional songs that he was playing.
What was his main instrument?
He went between violin.
Oh, and sang while playing violin?
Yep, he would sing and play violin, and then he played banjo.
Nice.
And he played guitar.
Wow.
And he sang, and it was great.
That sounds really great.
And then yesterday, when I read about him and I was listening to his music, I just wrote this riff on. Because I rarely do stuff that is like, I prevent myself from playing things that are like really folky sometimes. Like I don't want to seem too.
That was lovely.
Like I'm affecting that, but I do. But that stuff kind of comes natural to me.
So you fight things that come natural to you instead of just.
Well, I don't want anybody to think I'm being pretentious.
Wow. Okay. How are those thoughts helping you?
Oh, they're not at all.
Yeah.
I wrote a whole song that I was going to play for the introduction of this Raw Impressions podcast, and then I tried to start playing it. My brain like fucking stepped right in my way and said, "Fuck you, Lou."
Oh, that damn.
Try to remember that.
Mm-hmm.
You and I have been discussing this. There's so much. We've been trying to sort through information. We feel like we're kind of bombarded with information.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard. It's been hard lately to kind of sort through, to know what to listen to know what to do. And this could be just little things like picking something up off the floor.
Mm-hmm.
It could be writing an email. It could be anything, doing something to make you, to be a better parent, to do something to be a better friend. There's, I don't know. There's a lot of information that we're picking through.
I'm having a hard time prioritizing, like that information and beginning. So, yeah. I'm in like a heightened kind of mental and emotional state right now where I have an overwhelming number of thoughts that all feel really highly important. And then they are there with these feelings that are really heightened as well. And I'm in like a weird place, So I'm sure me and the rest of the world. But that's just how I'm feeling, and I don't know. And you're feeling a lot of feelings too. I always feel relieved when I see that your ukulele arrived in one piece.
It's totally this one's actually broken. It's
Oh,
been broken in there. I mean, it's cracked.
but
I bring this one because it's my, what
it's
do you call
already
it? Like,
cracked.
what do you call like a car it's like is it your junker? What's the
Is that your road ukulele?
yeah, beater. You call it a
Mm-hmm.
beater. It's like
Yeah,
the car you inherited from
your
your
Uncle
brother,
Tony, and you're like,
your Uncle
yeah.
Tony, the beater. Yeah, this is the beater ukulele.
Mm-hmm.
Now give me your raw impressions. Now tell me all that you want me to know. I am in London, you're in Massachusetts. I am your husband, you're my darling wife. You are safe here, honey, and I am safe here too. And soon I'll cross the ocean. Soon I'm coming home to you. Planes are safe, don't worry. Safer than cars or bikes. And we can speak across the ocean. It's the miracle of modern life. Now give me your raw impressions. That's sort of it.
That was lovely. That would be very, very cute to hear a whole song of that.
Yeah.
Done traditionally, like folk, with like maybe some banjo added. That would be so cute.
I know. I was
I
like,
love a banjo, so
I think I got to get a banjo. And I know the banjo that I want to get. There was a guy years ago, I played a banjo that had nylon strings on it. And this has nylon strings. And there's nylon, of course, it's like a soft string. It's kind of meant to, they used to make these strings out of gut, like animal gut. That's what strings were. So banjos would actually have gut strings. And I'm sure you could still probably get them. And they probably sound great. Let's not. But a long time ago, I was in a very famous guitar shop in Nashville called Groon's, and they had these nylon string banjos that sounded like they were from fucking Mars. They sounded so beautiful. And I didn't buy one, but the opening act for Sam Amidon, whose name escapes me, but he mentioned a nylon string banjo on stage, and I was like, oh my God. Because his banjo sounded incredible. Brought me to tears. It sounded so good. I was like, oh God. Because what I play right now is like, it's not dissimilar from a banjo. It's a 4-string instrument. Anyway.
is buying a banjo, this is something you should do in person, right? Do you want to play it and see if it speaks to you?
Ideally, but we do live in the modern world, and we just buy shit online and just get it and deal with it, or send it back, I suppose. But I don't know. Yeah, I'd like to try it.
What's that guitar shop in Northampton that we've been to? Wonder if they would have a banjo.
I don't know if they'd have a nylon string banjo. They seem relatively rare. And
Do they? Oh,
I'm saying
okay.
this because I know almost nothing of it. I've done no research. But Sam Amidon set a fucking fire under me yesterday. I was just really like, you know what? Maybe it's time to just embrace those things that come that comes natural to me, which is I do gravitate towards like traditional music,
Mm-hmm.
like really traditional, and even just the way that I play four strings, and that's what I'm comfortable with, um, and I do have that kind of strumming and picking style that's but I get intimidated because people they're so picky, they're so particular about their folk music. It's a tough crowd. It's a tough folk crowd, like people who are really into like purity, like pure music, and they really, I get scared. It's very intimidating, Whereas I think the music is obviously meant to be very easy to play and accessible. I think that the actual culture, the sort of the almost academic culture that surrounds it, I find very, very intimidating.
I could see that.
You
I could
know,
see that. Yeah,
and I
and
don't want
I
to. I don't want to imitate anything. That's the other thing. Is like I don't want to be someone who like I'm going to learn the. It's like I just want to do what comes natural, and so
I think calling yourself experimental folk, if you were to do like a folk album or a folk song, is a good way that I would just use that description too, because I think it would be a good heads up to the folk community who can sometimes be very serious, maybe in how they receive music. They're like, that's not traditional, or that's not, maybe you'd feel nervous about delivering that music to that community. Maybe that's what kept you, I don't know, from doing it, right?
yeah, I'd rather.
But I think that's the key, right? Is because it does scare you. You just have to go, I'm not going to worry about them. I'm going to do folk music in a way that feels good and interesting to me, and try it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I You're reminding me a lot of those scenes in Don't Look Back, where Bob Dylan was playing with this idea of folk music, right? And what does folk music really mean? And can you add electric guitar? Can you do all these different, can you play with this idea of it? And he got a lot of pushback from the folk community. I feel like this folk thing that you're sharing for me has been really interesting because we've been together for a while, and I don't think of you as being someone who loves folk music or has this interest in traditional folk music. And so it's sort of like this part of you that I didn't really know. And I was kind of afraid to share certain bands and songs with you because I thought that you wouldn't like them, or you would kind of make fun of them or something. And so I was
Well,
surprised when recently I played you Blue Mountain and you really liked it. And I was thinking, gosh, there's a lot of banjo in this. I wonder how he's going to like it. And then you really, really liked it. And I thought, oh, okay. Is he either just opening up now? Is he more available to this now? Or I don't know.
I think I had a real problem when the term Americana started being bandied around. I had a real problem with the term Americana. I thought it was snobby. And I thought, because music was just happening. It's like you didn't, because there was things that were like country, like being country influenced. I'm totally into that. I'm really into country music. I love country rock. I love cosmic country. I love classic country. I do love, like, there's very old recordings, very old folk recordings. There was this guy, Alan Lomax, who went and recorded all of these. And I visited this guy, Joe Buzzard.
Wait, you finish your sentence. You're saying Alan Lomax, and then you stop the sentence.
He recorded, there's a lot, there was a real movement in the 50s and 60s to record and capture folk music, like real mountain music, to really document it. And then there's also, during the 20s and 30s, there were people capturing that music, like hill music, and I mean, it's such a fascinating thing. And I visited this guy named Joe Buzzard, who had the largest, like he owned the rarest records in the world.
Yeah, right.
Because he and this guy, John Fahey, who was a very famous folk guitarist, like a freeform folk guitarist, collected 78 records and documented all of this historic American music. And I got to visit Joe Buzzard's house, and he sat and he played us these incredible records of, and I'll just say mountain music, and blues music. It was blues, and then also it's like also like black and white music, and and it was one of the most incredible musical experiences of my life that day in his house, while he just played us record after record. And I heard things that just blew my mind that I'll never hear again, because it was one after the other. And he was playing these 78 records, and he was playing it with a wooden needle on the records and through one big speaker. And it was, and so much of like real, like bluegrass is actually a modern music. It's not an old music. Bluegrass was like they sort of did this turbo version of folk music, and that's a modern invention. So when I really feel like people took bluegrass and were like, this is it, this is the real. I'm like, it's not actually. It's like it's modern. It's not. When I say modern, I mean it's in the 20th century. It's not. But the real tradition is like these folk songs, these ballads that were passed on, like from Scottish and Irish settlers and slaves from Africa, and like all these things coming together. So and of course the history of it is far more complicated than people who throw labels on them. And Americana really tweaked me. So I did have a thing about Americana, but when you and I sat down a couple of weeks ago, and we had that wonderful night where we're doing dishes and we're playing music, and you played me some Americana acts from the Americana bands from the 90s that I was not familiar with. And I was like, holy shit, it was good. And that band Blue Mountain are great.
Do you think that they would consider themselves Americana, or
I don't think so, because it was just no one, that term didn't exist, like in the 80s. There were plenty of bands that were country punk, and they even called it cow punk. It was like, there was bands that were just, they were kind of, maybe they were inspired by punk and new wave, but they really also loved country music, and they played all of that stuff together. And it was pretty organic. I mean, in Dinosaur Jr., that was our thing. That was our thing too. We were influenced. We loved, because, there's Neil Young and the Byrds, and, all that stuff was there. And I guess I did have when Americana, that term came up, I was like, God damn it. I just felt like it was just a way people were like labeling something more genuine than something else. And they were trying to, and I just found that seemed so simplistic and annoying. So,
well, I guess I then wonder, what would you have called that music then at the time? Because there was like shoegaze, there's this, there are different genres, right? So what would you have named that?
I always thought college rock fit the bill for everything. I was like, it's just college rock, or it's just rock, or country rock. Country rock fits.
I would lean more towards country rock too. I think that I would call the Jayhawks like country rock, or like, why not, right?
And sure, and like I'm reading Mike Campbell from Tom Petty's from the Heartbreakers. I'm reading his book, and fascinating. So cool, because he was really influenced by the Flying Burrito Brothers and country music and bluegrass, but he, fused all kinds of other things into it that he loved. Anyway,
I wonder what they call Tom Petty's. Were they like just classic rock, just American rock?
They thought they were kind of called new wave at first, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but it was edgier. I think that's the thing. It was edgier music, and so they lumped all of this kind of edgy music that didn't necessarily sound a lot alike.
Would the Cars also have been considered new wave?
Oh yeah, the Cars were totally
right.
But before the Cars were the Cars, they were country rock. They had a country rock thing.
Wow,
it's pretty fascinating. I just get so when I try to. I'm not a musicologist. I'm not a historian, but my heart rate increases when I'm trying to explain what music is, and my words get jumbled up because I just always feel like it's so much more complicated than people know, So now give me your raw impressions. Now tell me all that you want me to know. I'm in London, you're in Massachusetts. I am your husband, you're my darling wife.